Shout out, hey, to the Philly theater community. We are back with another podcast episode celebrating the 7th annual Philly Theater Week. And today we're sitting down with Theatre Contra. And I have Tay and Brian on here with me. I'm very excited to talk to them about this dare night that I'm really excited about to hear the ins and outs of, but also to talk to them about their journeys to Theatre Contra as well as artists around the greater Philadelphia area. So I'm going to let Brian and Tay, whatever one you want to go first, introduce yourselves, what you do, how you came to Theatre Contra, and what's your role in Philly theater community.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Bryant. I have been in Philadelphia since 2014 when I moved here to be an apprentice at the Art and Theater. And found myself in marketing from there. Always kind of wanted to start a theater company. So I was one of the founding members here at Theatre Contra. Founded in 2018 with a really cool group. And now I do this, and then I'm also a marketing director at a mental health nonprofit here in Philadelphia, which is an absolute blast. And I love having theater in my life as much as possible, but not always taking over 100% of my life. I found it's a nice divide. But I absolutely love what Theatre Contra has been up to the past 5 years now. So,
me too. My name's Tay, and I got into Philly theater. I moved to Philly, I think, around 2019, 2019. And I also started at the Arden as an apprentice. That's how I met Bryant. That's really how I got involved with Theatre Contra. And then stayed throughout the pandemic and really established my roots in Philly. And that was a difficult time, but being in Philly, I felt I can make a home here. And once we got up and running after the pandemic, I've worked at a couple different theater companies, like the Arden and Theater Horizon for a bit. Doing gig work as an actor and costume design and some stage management, Philadelphia Artist Collective as a producer, and eventually settled down. And now I'm at Delaware Theater Company in Wilmington, Delaware, which is also a part of the Philadelphia theater community, which I love, as a company manager and artistic associate. And I came to be a part of Theatre Contra after finishing the Art and Apprenticeship. Bryant noticed that I was coming to these readings and having a grand old time, and asked me to be a part of the company. And it was really, really wonderful. And one of my favorite, I think, projects working with Theatre Contra was as a costume designer for a show we did called Dream Rushes. And I also got to act in that, but the costumes were really, really special and really, really, it was really fun to work in that capacity. So that's my story. And I unfortunately don't have much of a separation with theater being my main 9 to 5, but also doing Theatre Contra in my spare time. But that just shows how much I love the company and the vibe that Bryant and the rest of the group has really created of being low stakes and high fun.
Yeah, it's so great to sit down with both of you and to hear more about Theatre Contra, which I think is beautiful kind of company and collective that's come together to tell these stories, to have really great fun storytelling moments that community can come out to and feel very much connected to, but also that the artists can connect to and see their friends doing some great work. Can we talk more about Theatre Contra? What is it, right? What is the notion of it? Why it's a popular thing, I know, amongst us, our generation of Philly theater goes, because we're yeah, that's my people's up there. What you mean? They doing it, right? And so how did it come about? But also, what does it became? Over these couple of years, what is it really blossomed into?
yeah, so I can speak to how we got started. So obviously, if you don't know the art and apprenticeship well, it's a very intense apprenticeship, lots of hours a week, 6 days a week, but you get to do a little bit of everything, which is very useful, I think, especially as an artist in Philadelphia. Having an awareness of the jobs that everyone does is so beneficial, and it really, I think, really helps you grow as an artist. And after the apprenticeship, I finished that in 2015, and I worked with 1812 a bit, and I worked with Theater Horizon a bit, and eventually I wanted to produce a show. It's something I'd never done before. And I produced a show for the Philadelphia Fringe in 2016 called the Versus series, which brought together like dozens of artists across the country to do these little shows that all ended in a fight, and the audience got to choose like how the fight ended. So it was always a mystery. It was so much fun, and I got to meet some really cool people through that. And something that I was told when I graduated college is like, Bryant, sometimes you all have to create your own work if you want to work. And so, I connected with some people, and we all were like, yeah, let's try something out. Now's the time, when you're young and full of energy to try new risky things. And eventually we came to Theatre Contra. Our first show was kind of a unique take on the lesson by Ionesco. And from there, after that ended, we were like, hey, we need a good fundraiser that's not just asking people for money, because our audiences are us and we don't have that much money. So we want to give them something in return. And we came up with this idea of a movie reading series that was super low stakes, like minimal rehearsal time, very much vibing with the audience. And our first one was Die Hard, right around Christmas time, because it is a Christmas film. And it was a hit. Tattooed Mom, thankfully, welcomed us in, and anybody who doesn't know them should, especially if you're an artist. They're incredible. And it really took off and became a good way for us to grow to a spot where we could advertise, where we could produce more work. And it was a great way to fundraise for our bigger shows. And as we met more people, Tay was one of the first people we brought on from our founding. And I'm very I don't think we've talked about it too much, but like I like, you were always at our readings, which was like so great, and you were such an awesome audience member. But yeah, then we ended up just kind of running with that. We've survived the pandemic. When you're small enough, you can't fold. So it was very lucky. And Tay, I don't know if you want to speak to, you hosted coffee houses during that time, which was cool.
I was gonna say, I thought something that was really cool and about like the way we were able to engage with our audience through the pandemic was by trying to do the virtual thing, which is what everyone was doing. But I thought we found a really unique way to do it, of having kind of like a coffee house, of having different artists that we've worked with before, or people that we wanted to work with, and having them get to like showcase their talent and like a small amount of time devoted to them to kind of do something fun, to kind of just get people excited about something, or to bring a little bit of joy in people's lives during a time where we were very uncertain about what was going on, when we'd be able to interact with each other again. And just, again, low stakes, but high fun. Whoa.
It's almost like it's our mission statement.
Yeah, that's our mission. And that's what we, want people to think of when they think of Theatre Contra. But yeah, I thought that was a really fun and cool opportunity during a time where everyone was just like really searching for connection and wanting to see people. And it went really well. I mean, especially for, it being a new thing. That was something that brought me a lot of joy, and I think brought a lot of joy to others as well.
Yeah. I love that. I love that notion of the community gathering or centered around it, but also the like low stakes, have fun, like because we all need that in the process of doing theater as well. We need those moments and those spaces that feel like safe spaces to do that, and to do it for a generation of us who like are going through these intense apprenticeships and trying to navigate during a pandemic where you are in your early 20s, like trying to figure out what's happening or how am I going to do and become the artist I want to become, but also can I just come and be right and
Yeah.
exist.
Exactly that. And just to speak to that, I feel like the ways in which Bryant and also like the rest of the company members are so welcoming to new ideas and so
Mhm.
like yes, like try the thing you've never directed before, do the thing we've never done
Yeah.
this before. Like let's just do it. Let's just see how people respond to it. I love that there's like it feels like there's no fear, even though I know that I mean, I know that Brian gets nervous. We all get nervous about things that we care about that because it's like a personal, vulnerable thing, like our babies are, and to share that with people. But I've always felt this feeling of like um, immense support from everyone and a lot of bravery in terms of just do the thing. We'll learn from it. We'll take feedback from it, hear what people say, what doesn't work. We know for next time. If we don't want to do it again, we won't do it again. But I've always really appreciated, especially from Bryant, this like openness and this like ability to like want to keep going with something further, to try something new. And I think Theatre Contra, looking at our history, you'll see that we've done a lot of different things and tried to like add on with things that were already successful, especially with this like Dare Night with our reading series and like
Yes.
yeah, our fundraiser event that we just did a couple weeks ago. But I just think that's something that's really fun about Theatre Contra, and people can be excited about all the things we have planned next.
Yeah, I'm excited personally. I think I really love seeing generations of theater makers in Philly, building these companies because we're definitely setting the tone for what we want the Philly theater community to be,
Mhm.
right? And holding space for that, right? So I think it's a sign to the young ones who may be at apprenticeship right now, like I don't know what I'm going to do after this or what I want to do,
Mhm.
but I see that Brian created Theatre Contra. Let's do that. Like let's do something to that, or let's find there is a possible way to make it after this apprenticeship. Because I know I didn't do the art apprenticeship. I did the Theater Horizon apprenticeship, which was Sabriaya, one person. Because
Oh,
Theater Horizon is one person, and you're working in all the departments. And you'd be like, why? I signed up for this. But you're right. It teaches you so many things about being self-efficient, also that you can bring a group of your friends together and be like, so we gonna start something. What y'all want to do? Like, I got this experience. I know how to do this. I can design a little something, something. I know how to do ticketing. Like, let's do something and bring it together.
mhm.
Um, and the perfect thing I want to segue to is this notion of the Dare Night. I was like, Dare Night. I said,
Uh,
from the promotional flyers, I was like, hold up, where are we going? Are we going somewhere? What is happening? I'm like, what is the dare that I am going to be asked in this notion? Right? What is it? Can you all talk more about the premise of the Dare Night series, and as well as kind of like this particular Dare Night that you're doing for Philly Theater Week this year?
Yeah. So first, I want to shout out Rachel O'Hanlon Rodriguez because
Yes.
she inspired this idea, and she'll also be in National Dare Night National Treasure. So very excited for that. But so we really want to respond to what our audience seems to like, and they really love our movie readings. Something I love is I always poll the audience as to who has been here before and who's new, and it's almost always a 50-50 split, which is like I believe is like the ideal thing to get new people in but also old people coming back. It's amazing, but we really wanted to take that to the next level. And so we were like, what can we do for that? We can produce it more, but we don't want to lose the charm of it being kind of improvised and reacting to the audience. And we were like, how do we involve the audience more? And one way is to put control in their hands, because we really want to play with what the typical audience theater dynamic is. So we our first one we did during Fringe was Dare Night School of Rock, which was an absolute blast. So much fun. And basically the audience gets to pick dares for us to do before the show. And while the show's happening, we have moments where we take those dares and do them. It could be as big as, trading roles with someone, doing it like an opera. How I'm blanking on a bunch of the dares that we had before, but
You have to call your mom.
Oh yeah, had to call you.
Not call you.
Yeah.
Call your mom. I had to take a shot with my mom, which was unexpected but amazing. We love a good BYOB show. But yeah, and the audience really responded to it. It was a really fun time, and National Treasure was our second reading we ever did, and it was probably our biggest one. So we were like, hey, let's partner with Comedy Sports and do a theater week show and try to make this happen again.
Yeah, and we're thankful that y'all did it. You are making it happen again. I'm excited. I didn't know. First of all, the fact I could call my mother in the middle of a show, because I'm like, the show, y'all, she's still on the phone. The show, let's just be faster, But the notion of like having an audience participation is really beautiful to witness, because it allows, further breaking of the fourth wall. Mm-hmm. But also it brings people into, the storytelling. I'm always talking about like, how do we get people to buy into theater without feeling they're buying into theater, right? Into what they know is like this, I'm going to a show, I'm going to sit, I'm going to watch it. We enjoy that because we're like, that's what we're kids, like we were theater kids, like that's what we do. But I know there's people, the community members, who are like, I want to go see a show, but I don't want to sit there for 90 minutes. So I want to be able to do something, or move around. So having that dare option, I feel like it's such a beautiful kind of like invitation to be like, you ain't just gonna sit here and be an audience. You are a part of this storytelling that's happening.
Yeah. I'm so happy you mentioned that, because that is something we highly encourage. Like, we want people to get up, go to the bathroom whenever you want. It's fine. Like, react, laugh, sing along, do what you want, as long as it's safe. But it's, have fun with us, because people, for really good reasons. I think we all want to take our art very seriously, and and sometimes that means we're going to do hard things, and we want to create a space that these people can come to and feel safe, comfortable, and just ready to laugh, and just have a good time. I think, especially post-pandemic, those spaces can be so much harder to find.
Yeah. Especially nowadays, I feel like it's just hard to sit still. Like, you want to feel a part of something. Going back to the pandemic and the isolation and separation that it created, especially coming back, people now more than ever want to feel moved, right? They want to see something that they feel like they can be a part of and connect with other people. And like Bryant said, I was at a lot of the the readings when I was an apprentice, and it was because I felt like I was able to respond to what I was witnessing. I've always been that type of consumer of art or movies, or I can't help myself, not in a way that's disruptive.
Yeah, but it's
but yeah, it's like, I'm with you. I see what's happening. I'm reacting, and I've always loved that type of theater anyway, when it's a bit more interactive. And so the fact that I was able to come in and just be myself and connect with my friends who are also and hearing their thoughts about what they're seeing, that has always made me feel like this is something that I want to keep coming back to. And the fact that we're taking it a step further with Dare Night, and I just think it's really great, and I would love if more theater were like that. But also because I grew up in going to church, and a Black church is very like call and response. So I was
Period.
so anytime theater does that kind of like engagement, I'm just like, yes, can we do more of that? Is there a way for us to be even more with our audience and not have it so separate? So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I think that notion of like when you grow up in a certain environment, as far as like being able to respond and give, call and response back into a space, it took me a while to get used to the notion of like, I have to sit here and listen to you, and I'm like, I can't say without you being distracted or you see that, what I'm saying? I'm used to it like, oh my God,
Yeah.
just audible reactions. And I think we're at this verge of like theater coming back, and there are a lot of different theaters who are holding on to this traditional notion of theater, right? This traditional of like, no, there is a fourth wall, come in, sit down, watch the show, and then you have theaters who are like, nah, come on in, snack with us. You got your little drinky drink, you got a little something, something, and respond to what's happening in front of you, because it goes beyond just laughter. I think if you can make an audience gasp, feel like, oh my God, like the whole audience, you feel the shift in the room, that is what theater is meant to be. And in its indigenous roots too, of storytelling, is meant to be this interactive piece that comes and folds in. So I love that notion of like, what does it look like for the future of Philadelphia theater to do more of what Theatre Contra is doing, to do more of that engagement with audience members, to say, hey, we want to welcome you in as you are, right? Speaking of that, what do you see the future of Philly theater becoming, right? In this notion of us like post-pandemic, I say quotation marks, but this notion of there's a lot of talk of where Philly theater is going and whether theater is dying, whether people are actually wanting to come see theater. What are your thoughts, but also what do you see as solutions as well to what we're seeing as far as like people returning to theater?
You said you were gonna ask this, and I thought about it, and I'm still thinking about it. But I think the pandemic, rightfully so, scared a lot of artists, and I think it scared a lot of audience members, and it scared the world as a whole, rightfully so. And I think now the world changed, in so many ways. And I think the initial reaction for a lot of theaters was to just do what and not change to the times. And I think the key, and I think what we've really hit on, is to create spaces that people not only want to go to be entertained, but want to go to be with people who want to experience a similar thing. People like you, people who want to, just enjoy their lives and, see stories that they may not be able to see in their everyday life, and to grow. And, people, I think, especially audience members, artists, et cetera, we all want to just have that place that we love to go to and will go back to and never feel judged, or you can feel, I love when theater makes you feel angry or upset, or all these plethora of human feelings, but at the end of the day, you want people to come back to experience that again. So making those things a positive experience, I think, is key to growing now. And I think Philadelphia theater has everything it takes to do that.
That's a great answer. I don't know, like
I just came up with it. It was just coming out.
ending on a hopeful note. Like, my goodness, that's a big question, Sabriaya. I have a lot of thoughts. I'll do my best to keep them short, and clear and concise. Uh, yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, this notion of like theater dying or like ending, it's obviously scary when we went through a thing like what we went through and a lot of theaters closing, but like remembering that theater has always been around, I don't think it will go anywhere. I mean, theater has stood the test of a lot of scary things happening like all over the world. So I think we should definitely remain hopeful and positive about that, but also recognizing that we do need help and support. And one thing that I thought that I've seen since the pandemic is a lot of like advocating for funding in the community, especially in Philadelphia, also in Delaware, which is just beautiful and stirs up a lot of theaters, because I think before there was a complacency, or not, I don't want to say complacency, but a bit of a like, well, we need the funder, like people to just fund us. The same type of people will rely on the same grants, the same foundations, and we just expect that money to come in within a certain time or a certain amount, and like, whatever. I think theater should just be more supported, just as like a general thing. Like, we should support the arts. Everyone should realize and recognize how important it is to the community. And I feel like we've taken steps on getting people that need to hear us to hear that message and to start to get more funding from different institutions and government. And I think there's a lot that can happen and needs to go further, and doesn't need to be just the pandemic ended and we're helping you throughout COVID, or we're giving this COVID funding. Because when that is done, it's done. So it needs to just keep going, and we need to be uplifted and supportive in many ways. And I admire the ways in which artists in Philadelphia are just going out and asking for what we need. Because I mean, also that's hard for us to do in general, right? As artists, of like saying the thing and setting boundaries and asking for the support to create the things that are hard work and heart work, right? Like heart work, and also doubly draining. So that was a lot. That was like a separate thing of saying that we need support. And I am loving the way in which this community is like actively going out and trying to get that. On another note, I do think that some theater companies, Theatre Contra included, are actively trying to change and trying to connect with different types of people and not just a similar type of people. And that's only going to help and serve everyone, because being seen and heard, and feeling like your stories are being told and also understood, is very important, no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter how you identify. We just need to be more inclusive. And we need to think about the ways we're casting things, and we need to make every effort to include people instead of exclude people, especially now. And I don't want to get too political, but
yes,
it's just important. It's just really, really important and impactful, and will only help our industry if we're able to create art that resonates with everyone. And I do see theater companies taking steps towards that, and we all can go further. And we can all, and also like the notion of lifting each other up. Like, I love the fact that you're doing this podcast, and Theater Philadelphia has been, getting different theater companies to kind of like talk with each other and to talk. And the fact that you're, interviewing a bunch of different companies through Theater Week, this is like on my radar. I'm excited to see what other theater companies have to say about their work. And that wasn't something that was ever on my radar before the pandemic. I'm not sure if Theater Philadelphia was doing that. And if they were, I'm sorry. But, I see it now, and I think it's great. And I love that we're moving in that direction. That wasn't short or concise.
It was, first of all.
It was beautiful.
we don't just lay out like a whole guidance plan TED talk. And I'm like, was that concise? Or like, no, it was what it needed to be. It was concise. It also was very much a summary of a lot of the issues that we're seeing being discussed and being brought to the table.
Yeah.
And what I love about being able to do this like podcast and to talk with y'all is that I get to say, okay, so what are we bringing to the table? Because we never stop and ask, okay, what are we bringing to the table? What do you have to bring to the table? Mm-hmm. Right? We just see people doing work. We're like, oh, that theater's doing that. That's what they do.
Right.
You know, instead of being like, no, what is it? What are y'all doing? Like, and why y'all doing it? What's happening? You know, talk more with me about that and meet me in those uncomfortable situations where you're like, but we could use a little bit more funding, or we could use support, or people, you know, I as an artist, individual artist, I would like some people to cast me some stuff. Stop playing with me, you know what I'm saying? In these streets, that is something that needs to be talked about out loud, because that's the only way we're going to fix it and have that addressed. And so I appreciate y'all for coming and speaking on that. And speaking more about Theatre Contra, because I'm like, oh, I didn't know this tea of how I got together. I don't listen. I mean, listen. Natajia can tell you, I took a little break from theater for like a couple years to raise some kids in North Philly, and so I would see theater and come to see stuff, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's interesting. Okay, cool. Clap. All right, listen, that's nice." But to learn more and to say, "Okay, I'm gonna pinpoint, send my kids to some of your shows." I have high school. Those were like, "Oh, I would love." You know, I have college students now. I'm old. College students who are like, "Hey, you know, Mr. Bree, I'm looking for a theater to see." You know, I'm like, go Theatre Contra, go, you know, go have like a nice little night out, as long as you're, you know, age appropriate. But go and do your thing. my college babies who are getting up there. But that's the important thing. And I thank y'all for coming on today and having this conversation. For anyone who is listening, please check out Theatre Contra. Check out the Dare Nights National Treasures, running April 5th through the 12th. And am I correct on that? Let me make sure. Yes.
Yes, perfect.
Yes. I'm like, information. It's a lot of shows, y'all. It's a lot of shows.
Yeah.
I can show y'all my spreadsheet of like, this is all.
Oh my god, my eyes are exploding just thinking about it.
I told CJ's gonna have to like publish. They're gonna have to publish like a whole outline, because they have like a diagram that we go through every week. And I'm like, okay, CJ, yes, that makes sense. I get that. And so I'm really grateful, and I'm really excited to come see one of the Dare Nights. I'm gonna be busy. I gotta take some naps. All right, I'm catching up now. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, get y'all naps together so y'all come see all these amazing shows that are happening during Philly Theater Week. But also listen to this podcast, listen to our next episode, where we'll be talking about some youth theater. And thank y'all for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.